Are we live? Hey guys, welcome back to another live show of TFL Today. And joining me today is...
Tommy Micah. Now what are we talking about today, Andre?
Well, today we're talking about the top 5 pickup trucks we cannot wait for. You know, these are the trucks either in concept form or prototypes that we know are coming, or we hope they're coming.
Right.
So, and we want to count those down and get your feedback as well.
Yeah, so we're super excited. We hope these trucks come to us soon, if they come at all.
Yes.
Yeah, should we get started?
Yeah, so, and please provide your comments and pictures, well, not pictures, comments and questions. And at the end of the show, in about 20 minutes from now, we will, engage your questions and comments and have a discussion about it.
Right. Okay, so number 5, we have the new Jeep Wrangler truck. Let me unfreeze the screen here. So this is brought to us by Kelley Blue Book. It's on their website. These pictures were shot by Chris Doan Automotive. And this is a truck that's been really highly anticipated.
Yeah.
It's been talked about. We don't know a lot about it. We just have some spy shots. They're not...
This is a good one. Yeah, this is a good one. Basically, it's supposed to be based on the JL Next Generation Wrangler platform.
We think.
And this is one of the best versions of this prototype. It looks the most finished because the bed seems to be matching the cab a little bit better. There were shots a few months ago where the bed was actually kind of separate and hanging off the back. But this is a highly anticipated pickup truck. We're actually not quite sure. There is information that it's going to be either a 2019 or a 2020, but it's going to come after the Wrangler itself, right, Tommy?
Yeah, so the whole idea with this truck is they're going to release the new Wrangler JL to replace the JK, hopefully pretty soon, and then the truck will come a year after that. At least that's what they're telling us.
Yeah, and this is one of the best pictures that we have so far. But I have an issue with this, Tommy. What they have done is, it looks like they stretched the wheelbase to accommodate for the crew cab, 4 doors, and then accommodate for a short bed as well. And what happens when you stretch the wheelbase really hard for off-roading,
Well, this truck may develop some issues that a lot of trucks do have off-road where the breakover angle isn't there. So the Wrangler, especially the 2-door, is unique in that it's so stubby. The breakover angle is fantastic. This truck does look to be a little bit longer than something like...
like a 4-door Wrangler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So...
So yeah, this is kind of an issue because... Jeep has this image of being the most off-road worthy brand, across all the segments that they enter, the Wrangler being the top of the line off-road machine, and then, going down the line, Grand Cherokee, Compass, Cherokee, Renegade, and I think they're going to try to hit the same kind of mark with the pickup truck. They want to make it off-road worthy and make it like a Rubicon version of it, but stretching it out too much, that compromises your off-road ability because of the breakover angle, and you can get hung up on some obstacles.
So I've got your live chat pulled up right here.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is we really don't know anything about this truck. So we don't know what trims it will come in. We don't know what engines it will have. We don't know what the pricing will be. We don't even know what year it will be per se. So there's so much speculation out there, especially on the JL Wrangler forums. We're all super excited for it. So far, I think all we've seen are 4-door models of this truck.
Right.
And I think, likely what will occur is Jeep is going to target vehicles like the TRD Pro Tacoma, the ZR2.
Yeah.
So I think, this is just me personally think, that truck's going to be pretty expensive. I don't think there's going to be some stripped out base model.
Especially for a crew cab, right? And I think crew cabs in general are most popular trucks right now, because they're also family vehicles, and you want to take your family and friends up and down everywhere. So crew cabs are incredibly popular. So it'll be most likely, most of them will be sold. But once again, like Tommy said, we don't know a lot for sure.
Pretty much anything.
There is information that it might have a turbocharged engine because the Wrangler has a turbocharged engine, possibly. Yeah. There's no official information on this yet. Diesel version, we don't know. That has been discussed in forums as well. And of course, the V6 is probably coming back, but once again, nothing official. Should we move on to number 4?
Yeah, what is number 4, Andre?
Number 4 is the next generation of the Ram heavy-duty and Ram light-duty trucks. And this is kind of an interesting thing because for 2017, there are a couple of heavy duty trucks that are already come out on the market. You have the Ford Super Duty 2017, and you have a new Duramax engine in the GM heavy duty trucks. And obviously, Ram is doing something to sort of match what the other guys are doing as far as power output, maybe increasing their capability, towing and payload capability. And in this case, there are some spy shots that we have on our website of the new Cummins prototypes because they're masked. Testing, and I believe this was in Michigan, this particular picture. But we also caught them testing in the Rocky Mountains. Whoa, that's cool. Here's a little video of it from the spy hunting that we do, prototype hunting. And you guys have asked us, should I wait until the updated HD from Ram is coming out, or should I buy one right now? Well, we don't have a lot of information on this, unfortunately. We know that they're testing these trucks, and I think they're going to try to boost their torque rating even higher. They're at 900 pound-feet of torque right now for their high-output engine, but the torque might go up even well beyond that because Ford is claiming 925. And but we don't know exactly when this truck update is coming out.
What's kind of interesting about the Ram heavy duties is they're very they're getting pretty long in the tooth at this point.
Yeah.
They're just a little bit older, especially compared to something like Super Duty,
Yes.
which
is all new
for 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah, aluminum was a completely big change. We've got the new updated Duramaxes with that hood scoop, right?
Yep.
And Ram kind of hasn't done a whole lot to update the heavy duty trucks. However, a 3500 Ram still won our heavy duty class for our Ike Gauntlet test. So we know that this truck in its current state is very capable. That Cummins is a strong engine. It tows really well. It still has a high capacity. It is still competitive on torque numbers. So I really wonder what the new one's going to be like, if they're going to incorporate some aluminum. We'll just have to wait and see.
Right. And of course, Ram is known for their interior design. They have one of the best interiors still in the business. And also, they're playing a lot with suspensions. So they do have air spring helpers right now. And I wonder if they're going to be redesigning their air suspension as far as their heavy duty trucks are concerned. So they're continuing to push. But can you go to the next image, because the light duty Ram is also being redesigned, and it's part of our number 4 trucks we cannot wait for. And the interesting part here is they're going to 6 lugs, basically 6 bolt pattern on the wheels, which means could mean a couple of things. The axles are getting a little bit maybe updated and a little bit stronger to handle more weight. And of course the brakes, you could see that the brakes are pretty gigantic on this prototype that we also have published on our website. And a lot of these images you see here come from you guys. So when you guys see some prototypes, driving around town, you guys send us those images, and we thank you guys very much for that. And we're able to publish these and get some more discussion going.
Right.
So that's really great.
The other thing too is the current Ram 1500 is also pretty old.
Very old.
Right? And we only have a couple engine options, of which most of them are old as well. So we've got that Pentastar, that 3.6 liter that they use at everything, which is, we've towed with it once, and it started to overheat a long time ago.
Yeah. That was a few years back.
So that engine is, maybe, yeah, of course it's the base engine, but it wasn't a very strong performer, at least during our test with the towing. Then they've got that 5.7 Hemi, which they use in everything.
Which is a great engine.
Yeah, which is...
But also pretty old.
Also pretty old. And then there's the EcoDiesel. What's going on with the EcoDiesel?
Well, EcoDiesel is not on sale quite yet, and we've been asking Ram to give us an update, and there's not an update as far as timing yet. But there is an emissions investigation, basically, that EPA is doing. EPA is questioning the emissions output of the 2017 EcoDiesel trucks. So there's a stop sale. You cannot buy an EcoDiesel Ram 1500, brand new one right now. So there's kind of an issue that Ram is dealing with. But of course, we can see here that they're testing their brand new light duty truck. We think, and there's some consensus here, that this is going to be a 2019. And you can kind of see in this picture, there's updated interior. We don't know exactly what the new interior is going to look like. Obviously, this is a prototype. It's got a lot of wires and a lot of testing equipment in there as well. But it looks like it has updated axles, like I said. and probably updated engines. But we don't know. And there's a rumor out there that the Hemi is going to be canceled. And I don't know if I believe that rumor. I think the V8 engine is still going to live on for at least a few years. That's my personal opinion.
Cool. All right, should we go to the next truck?
Yeah, number 3. We get a lot of questions about this. And behind us, you can see a 2017 Nissan Frontier that we lovingly call the final frontier.
Yeah, so
This is our long-term truck that we have from Nissan.
yeah. Now the Frontier has been around for a very long time.
Yes.
A very long time. And I think a lot of you guys out there will agree that it could do with some updating.
Yes. Especially on the interior, you can kind of see that the interior was designed a long time ago. Of course, it's still a great work truck, and this is a base model, and it's the most affordable pickup truck you can get currently on the market. It starts at around $18,300. This one right here, as you see it, final price is $20,700 approximately, which is very, very affordable. It's a two-wheel drive truck with a 4-cylinder engine, and everything is about it is simple, crank windows, but everybody's saying when is the new Frontier coming? And we don't know exactly when. Basically what's happening is Nissan's been focusing on their Titan updates, and what the image you see here is of the European Nissan Navara pickup truck, which has been on sale and has been updated for Europe. And the question is, why doesn't Nissan update their Frontier for United States and the North American market? And one of the answers we got from Nissan is they're focused on the Titan.
Right.
And once the Titan is done, once they unveiled and released all of the versions of the Titan, including a V6 Titan that hasn't been actually debuted yet, they will unveil the next Frontier.
So globally, this version of the Frontier, it's called internally the D40, has been in production since 2004.
Okay.
2004,
13 years.
13 years,
Yeah.
which is a really long time. But what's interesting is we mashed the Pro 4X, kind of the top of the line off-road version, up against something like the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro, which
The
has
new
been
one,
updated.
the new
It's
one.
new, right? It's got those new fancy Fox shocks, and it's got all this modern tech. And it's still a competitive truck. The
Yes.
Frontier is still a competitive truck against the Tacoma. Yes, the interior is, I think, worse. In my opinion, it's a lot more plasticky.
Yes.
But it's just a strong truck. It's a solid, dependable choice.
Yes, I agree completely. Like, one of my complaints about the interior on the current Frontier is the door handles are way forward, so you kind of have to reach, sometimes if you're a driver, behind the steering wheel to open the door. So there could be a few updates that they could do to make it even better.
Yeah, and the V6, that 4-liter,
It's been around for a long time.
It's been around for a very long time. This one is the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder.
Four-cylinder, yeah.
Now we also have some interesting photos that are published on Truck Trend.
Yeah,
Yeah, freezes.
another prototype.
Yeah, so this was caught in, I believe, the Michigan area. Once again on Truck Trend.
But it's actually a crashed so it wasn't an accident. Maybe
It's a crash test mule. is what
crash
we
test
think.
mule. Yeah, that's one of the. But look at this. It's got updated sort of panels, and this looks like a Navara truck actually.
Yeah.
But it's being tested on, in North America on U.S. soil. So this is a very, excuse me, interesting prototype.
Right. Something we don't typically see are those crash test mules out in the public. And we can see that this one potentially has been crashed at 64 kilometers an hour, which is like 40 miles an hour. So,
Yeah, so it's probably sort of maybe a European crash test, but it's here on American soil, and we could see that Nissan is working hard, because there are also some other images, right, Tommy?
Yeah.
Of a few prototypes running around, with some tape on them, and basically the new body style of the new Frontier.
diesel.
Well, yes, and it says diesel, of course. Roman, a couple of years ago, drove a prototype Frontier with a Cummins 4-cylinder engine. And that was in the early stages of development. It was a little bit loud, but still it was a nice little diesel truck. But they still haven't made it production ready. So I think they're waiting for the next generation update to unveil a new engine. And I don't know if a diesel is going to be part of the equation, but we know that Chevy, GM, is doing very well with their little Duramax.
Right.
In their Colorado and GMC Canyon pickup trucks. So I think there is still room for more diesel pickups, mid-size pickup trucks.
In the market.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe a small Cummins will be found in the next Frontier. We'll just have to wait and see. One thing we do like, though, is the current Frontier, especially the base model. It's just a happy, fun little truck with that manual transmission and the 4-cylinder.
Are there any comments, or like we can look at some of the recent comments from folks coming in?
Yeah, I've got your comments here. One guy here says he had a Frontier, 200,000 miles, no issues at all. Paid $15,000 for it new.
Well, 15,000. Holy cow! You must know somebody.
We've got a lot of people saying hi. We've got some comments on the V8 Cummins, which probably won't make its way into the Frontier.
No,
I think that's
that
unlikely.
engine is really big. I mean, it's supposed to be able to fit into a half-ton truck where a regular gas V8 would fit, and that was the original design elements and requirements for the 5-liter Cummins V8. Of course, it's currently used in the heavier-duty XD Titans, not in the half-ton Titan.
Right.
And that engine, I mean, it's getting some fans, but it's also, there's some potential sort of first-year blues with that engine. So, and people are trying to work out, we're getting a few reports from some of you that you guys had some starting problems with your Cummins V8s. But of course, Nissan and Cummins are working, obviously, to make it better than ever.
Tommy, when are you going to put out another episode of The Highboy? Well, that's a funny story, actually. Andre Kent and I just shot an episode in a blizzard where we went out and looked at a new bed for the truck, and it was quite the debacle. It was quite the day, so that'll be coming soon. The truck itself is actually broken right now. It started acting all weird, popping out of the car, but it was above my mechanical ability to figure out what it was. Turns out it bent the push rod. So,
so it's in the shop right now?
Yes, I'm sure that will be very expensive, but that's
So
where
yeah,
that is.
more Highboy is coming. Obviously, your current bed is really rusty, which is why we called it Project Rusty Boy.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But, and we're looking for the bed. The bed we looked at, and you'll have to wait for this episode, but weren't quite sure because a Highboy bed is a very particular, because because of the frame. The frame is narrower.
Yeah, the frame on the 1970s F-250 4-wheel drives were narrower than the 2-wheel drive frames, so the beds are pretty specific to the Highboys. Anyway, we'll get into all that in that video. Should we go on to the next truck?
Yeah, number two. Number two is a truck I actually saw prototypes of last week. I went up into the mountains because we got a tip that new trucks are there and are testing. And these are the 2019. And there is consensus here that it's probably going to be 2019 GM light-duty half-ton trucks. And these are the Silverado and the Sierra. It was a little bit difficult to tell which truck was which, Silverado versus Sierra, because of the heavy camouflage that we have on these trucks. But a few things that we can note: solid rear axle. Obviously, you can see the shocks there as well. A lot of you commented on the exhaust pipe in this particular image. I cannot tell for sure that this is a diesel model. A lot of you said, "Oh, it must be a turbo diesel," but I cannot say that because this exhaust pipe, it also looks like an emissions testing pipe. Because when they test emissions at high elevations, they modify the exhaust system a little bit to mount some measurement equipment to it. So I cannot say for sure that the half-tons from GM will have a diesel engine. But of course, they're working on updated powertrains, maybe even more lightweighting. You know, they made fun of Ford for aluminum for a long time, but I think they're doing something, maybe not all aluminum truck, but trying to pick the components of the truck to make it lighter.
Well, we should also note that there were some previous spy photos published by a different source that had two exhausts, right? They had two exhausts.
They had, and we also have images of that on our website. We don't have it here, but actually there's some other trucks with dual exhausts coming out of the bumper area, which is really interesting because right now the only two trucks that do that is Ram does that in their half-ton trucks, and also the Ford Raptor has the exhausts that come out the back. But see, it's kind of interesting because there were a lot, I think I saw like 12 trucks they were testing, which was ridiculous. Some of them had blacked out wheels, Some of them had chrome, some of them had base, like smaller diameter rims, different camouflage. But I think most of the trucks I saw were crew cab configurations. There were not any extended cab or regular cab trucks.
Right.
But this is very interesting, and of course, a lot of you said, well, didn't they just update the Chevy Silverado and the GMC, with new headlamps and a new front end? And this truck actually came out in 2014. But it's getting so competitive, Tommy, that you have to keep updating and keep it fresh. And we think this is going to be 2019.
Yeah, super excited about that. Once again, a lot of the times you guys ask us questions about pricing, about is this going to be unibody, is this going to have aluminum? We just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could run up there with a magnet and...
Well, they weren't happy to see me.
No, these guys were especially unhappy to see Andre.
Because they wanted to keep it, obviously.
They were honking and yelling.
They were honking at me and telling me to leave. But these trucks are in public. So as a journalist organization, we can actually take video and take pictures of trucks that are on public roads and parking lots.
Right.
So,
Okay.
number one.
So this is probably one of the trucks we get asked the most questions about, and it's also one of the trucks we know the least about. We haven't seen any test mules. We haven't heard anything from Ford themselves. That, of course, is the Ranger and the Bronco.
Yes. The only thing we know.
Don't know.
The only thing we know, and this came out at this year's Detroit show, where they didn't even show us a picture or of a concept. They showed us the Ranger font, the letters that spell out the name. And what we have here are pictures of the current Ranger from overseas.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so we know what that truck looks like. We know it comes with a diesel option, and actually several diesel options, several power levels in the Ford Ranger. But the only thing really that Ford has mentioned that the Ranger is going to reach the North American market somewhere around 2019. We're not quite certain if it's going to be labeled as a 2019 model year or maybe a 2020, but 2019 calendar year, expect to see the new Ranger in North America and the United States, of course. And this is a highly anticipated truck, and that's why it's number one on our list. Because people are, they haven't been in the market for several years. 2011 is basically when they discontinued the older generation in the United States of the Ranger. And I see a lot of them on the road still. People use them as work trucks, as something to go out and play, but they did not produce a crew cab version in the US in the last generation. So obviously it'll have a crew cab, I'm assuming, because everybody else has a crew cab.
So, Andre, maybe you can provide some light as to why they discontinued the truck in the first place. What was the reasoning with that?
Yeah, well, I actually was at the Ford event recently, and I asked the guys in marketing department, why was the Ranger and when is it coming back? And of course they said that, Ranger was one of the most popular trucks in the segment, which is true, but then they felt like the F-150 could satisfy the customers that were looking for a midsize truck. They thought that if you buy a base F-150, basically a smaller cab configuration like an extended super cab, that you don't need a Ranger anymore. And that's kind of their public statement about this. But a lot of you guys disagreed, and you guys said, wait a minute, the Ford F-150 is still a large truck, which is wide and long. I want something more compact. I can put it in my garage easy, and I can use it, and it's going to be more affordable for me to run and operate and park. So Ford finally listened, and they're coming out with the next generation Ranger, and it's going to be built in the United States. And Bronco is the other part of that equation, but we know even less about the Bronco.
Yeah.
We know it may be based on the Ranger platform, but that's the previous generation Ranger. And my neighbor has one, actually, similar to this.
Well, I think Ford in some respects had to come back with this truck because that is a very hot segment right now. And it's really being dominated by Toyota, GM,
Yeah.
and then Nissan.
Yes.
Those are the three big players. And of course, Dodge left that segment. We have a question. Do you think there will be a new Dodge Dakota?
That's a really good question as well. And we know very almost nothing about this. What we've seen, and we have some prototype shots on our website, we can look up later, is some Fiat trucks testing on U.S. soil. And there's like a Fiat Toro, which almost looks like a Jeep Cherokee with a bed, so it's a unibody design. There's also several others like Fiat Fullback, which kind of shares some of its structure with the Mitsubishi pickup truck from overseas. So we have seen a couple of trucks testing, and we keep asking Ram, hey, is the next Dakota coming? And they say nothing about it.
Right.
This is a Toro. It's sold overseas. It's in my opinion, it looks very similar front end design as a Cherokee, and of course it has a bed similar to what the concept, similar to what Honda is doing with the Ridgeline, which is basically a subframe with a unibody construction, and it's more of a light duty pickup truck. So it's not a full on, let's tow 7,000 pounds mid-size truck. It's more of a lighter duty mid-size truck, maybe with a maximum towing rating between 3,500 and 5,000 pounds.
And in terms of the Bronco, this is another truck that's really steeped in mystery right now. And I'm very curious to see which direction Ford goes with that. So the last Bronco was in the 90s. It was considered by a lot of people the OJ Bronco, right? There's that famous car chase with the full-size Bronco. But when you go back to the 60s, 66 was the first year for Bronco. I think it was 66. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 66 through 77. The first generation Bronco was very small, very compact, went to go up against vehicles like the CJ5. Then they got big again with the full-size Broncos. So with the new one, I don't know if it's going to be small. I don't know if it's going to be large, maybe something similar size to an F-150, a full-size SUV. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Do you think that the Bronco should be a small, compact vehicle to go up with something like the Wrangler? Or do you want to see something bigger, more Explorer-sized,
a full,
like a Suburban
like an off-road
size.
ready truck.
Right. So
We're assuming it's going to be more off-road focused. That's an assumption.
And one of you guys brings up a great point too. There was also the Bronco 2 in the 80s,
Yes.
which was a little bit
Sketchy?
a little sketchy, but
Okay.
it was small as well. So then
Yes.
they brought out the Bronco 2 along with the full-size Bronco as kind of its smaller counterpoint. So that's a truck that has had a very interesting history. We're excited to see what they do with that, and we know absolutely nothing.
Yes, but it is highly anticipated, and that's why it was number one on our list. And I want to do something we do pretty often during our live shows. We want to give away a hat. And what we're doing is, those guys, those of you who support us on patreon.com, and you can do that at patreon.com/TFLcar. It's kind of a monthly donation. And those of you that give us $10 a month, which is a huge help for us, because the YouTube revenue has been down recently because of other aspects we cannot control with advertisement on extremist videos, and it's a whole big debacle there on YouTube. So your help is very appreciated, and we want to give back to some of you. We tried to give this hat away a couple of weeks ago, but the guy didn't want the Ford hat. So hopefully we pick one guy at random from our supporters on Patreon and give away a hat, and I picked out a random name this morning, Paul Harden. So Paul, if you like a Ford hat, Ford truck hat, and these hats we get at events that we go to, first drive events, we'll send this to you and I'll email you, and if you like this hat, I'll give it to you. And we're gonna try to give away a hat every single show.
And what's our Patreon page if they want to support us?
Yes, once again, patreon.com/TFLcar is our Patreon page. So please, you can support us. You can give, even $1 a month. We appreciate your support. Where was I going with this? Anyway, Paul, we're gonna contact you and give you the hat. And we do our shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So that's the time of our regular schedule.
Our live
TFL
shows.
Today. Yeah, but I had a few. What time do we have?
Right now?
Yeah.
It's 10:25, and we should move on to one of our bonus trucks. This is a truck that we get so many questions about. We have so many inquiries about. We want to know so much if this is going to be a thing.
Yes.
I'm tongue-tied. I'm so excited.
Yes.
But we just don't know, and it's this.
Contain yourself, Tommy, because this is the Ram Rebel TRX concept. And you guys sent us probably several questions about this every week or every day, saying when is the TRX truck coming? And this concept is very exciting because it's basically a potential challenger to the Ford Raptor because it's got lots of power. This has a supercharged V8. The concept had a supercharged V8 engine. It has a modified suspension with lots of more travel and a lot of other cool design features on this concept. And everybody's asking, when is the TRX going to be built? When can I buy one? Take my money. Well, we've asked Ram this question several times. Obviously, they're not going to comment specifically about future product, like no other manufacturer actually will say what they're doing 2 or 3 or 4 years from now. But here's my hunch. My hunch is that when the next generation 2019 truck is coming, you know, the pictures we showed a few minutes ago on our list, I think that's an opportunity for Ram to actually come out with a TRX version, which is going to be just a badass off-road pickup truck with a giant engine, powerful engine, and really, you know, customized suspension for off-roading. That's my take on it. You know, next generation Ram might have this, but this is just our opinion, my opinion, not something from Ram.
Yeah, this is the concept they showed had a altered Hellcat engine. So
Yeah,
a 6.
kind of a detuned.
Yeah, 6.2 liter supercharged. It developed, they said 575 horsepower versus the 707 horsepower of a Hellcat. But man, is this a cool truck. You know, the Rebel is a cool truck, the current Ram 1500 Rebel.
Yeah.
But I think if we're being honest, it's not necessarily a straight up competitor to the Raptor. And I think they'll tell you that too. They'll agree.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not meant
they
to be a
agree.
competitor to the Raptor. But something full out like this truck could be a big player in this world.
Sorry about the timer,
yeah.
guys. But yeah, I mean, we're very excited about this concept, obviously. We saw it, we heard it run, and that V8 sounds incredible. It had side pipes coming out of the side and a 6.2 liter V8. I don't know if this could be productionalized, but the other aspect of this concept is Jeep has just unveiled the 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk, which has a full-on Hellcat motor, 707 horsepower, and all-wheel drive. So now we know that FCA has the components to enable putting down a lot of power through an all-wheel drive system. How cool would that be, Tommy, if they can adapt the all-wheel drive system to something like a Ram 1500 and actually have a TRX or another like really badass off-road truck for Ram? I have 2 other little bonuses, Tommy, I wanted to discuss very quickly before we have to close out our show.
Go for it.
And one of them has to do with updated engines on the Toyota Tundra. In Chicago this year, Toyota has unveiled their updates for 2018 on the Tundra, which were sort of mild. Just kind of, and I think we have a picture of a 2018 Tundra. They added a hood scoop, they added the Sport model, TRD Sport, and they also packed it full of technology with driver aids, like adaptive cruise and pedestrian detection, and lane keep warning systems. So they have updated the technology on this truck, but they left the engines alone. And Toyota is really famous for this. You know, they're kind of very slow in how they update their mechanicals because the reliability is very important to them, and they always take their times. But the 5.7 liter V8 and to some extent the 4.6 as well that's available in the Tundra have been there for many, many years, and they're not very efficient engines. They're great engines for power, but the efficiency on this truck is not grand. And everybody's pushing efficiency, and I think Toyota needs to come out with something really soon to address the efficiency side of the equation on the Tundra. And that's my other hope to see very soon. My other little bonus is, and a lot of you guys agree with this, GM trucks, half-ton trucks, I want to see more versions, and actually a base truck with an option to get a 6.2 liter V8. The 6.2 is a great motor. Would you agree, Tommy?
Yeah, that's a cool truck, and they just put it in the
Tahoe.
In the Tahoe, right?
Yeah.
The RST, the
Right.
rally sport truck?
Right, rally sport truck.
Yeah.
But I have one small problem with the RST. I love the concept of a badass Tahoe, a very quick Tahoe SUV, but they're also adding magnetic suspension and like 20-inch rims and a lot of high option features, which all cost money. And by the time they haven't unveiled pricing yet on the RST Tahoe with the big V8, but I'm assuming it's not going to be cheap. But what I'm saying here is, how about offer a base model truck, maybe a crew cab or maybe a shorter cab, double cab with this option to get a 6.2, and you could charge some money for the option, like $2,500, $3,000. But it would be cool to have a more affordable truck with lots of power, and I think a lot of you guys would agree.
Yeah, so let's answer some questions. One of our questions was, wasn't there a Suzuki version of the Frontier? Yes, there was. I have a
The
picture
Equator.
right here. Yeah, there it is. It's
Oh.
called the Equator.
Yeah, but Suzuki unfortunately is not here anymore.
Yeah, they are not with us in the States today.
So, and actually, there's been a few platform sharing. Also, the Mitsubishi Raider was Dodge Dakota, so they shared a lot of components.
Right, right.
And we may see more of this. For example, Fiat sharing with Ram, or Fiat sharing with Mitsubishi and Ram. So, but there could be more of this coming. More questions?
Let's see here. Any changes for the 2018 Raptor, do you think?
I haven't heard about any changes for the Raptor, and I was specifically actually asking about this because Ford is upgrading the F-150s for 2018 with a new grille and a new front end, revised tail lights, and also the 10-speed automatic transmission for all, basically not all, but most of their engine options, excluding the base V6. But they're kind of quiet about the Raptor. I think they're just trying to get the Raptor out there, the 2017 model, get it to the customers who have ordered one. And it's a very popular truck, and it's getting, some markups at the dealerships because it's so popular. So I haven't heard about any updates to the Raptor specifically.
Do you think the next Chevy Silverado will use coil springs?
That's a great question, and I couldn't quite tell from the prototypes I saw whether they're going to be using coil springs. But I think GM is very careful. They always are mindful of their payload capacities and their towing numbers because they want to be leading, at least in the towing numbers. And the coils tend to sag a little bit more underweight when you compare them to a spring, to a leaf spring. And that's a hard question. I don't know exactly.
Will the Ranger and Bronco be a unibody truck?
That's a very interesting question. We don't know for sure. My bet is against it. My bet is that because they have so many unibody vehicles, as far as SUVs are concerned, they have the Explorer, they have the Edge, the Escape. So I'm thinking it's going to be a truck frame based vehicle because the Ranger will be, I think, that's my opinion, a frame based vehicle.
Okay, 2 more questions. This is the throwback. Haven't heard this question in a long time, but we used to get this a lot. Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz. Oh yes, I think people finally gave up on this. So several years ago, Hyundai unveiled a Santa Cruz concept, which was a unibody, short bed, short cab, little pickup truck, similar in concept to like what the Subaru Baja used to be, kind of a car-based, crossover-based SUV. Pickup truck. And then we heard nothing about it. And then Hyundai said, okay, we are thinking about building it. And then they said no, and then they said yes again. Finally, I don't know what to say.
Here we go.
Here's the Santa Cruz concept. People were excited about it because it was basically meant for people who live in the city who need a little bit more utility to put bigger objects in their vehicle. And the concept, the bed actually extended. So you can actually extend the tailgate area out. And I haven't heard a recent update on this. I should email Hyundai again.
Yeah.
And ask.
And then, final question. Will GM come out with smaller turbocharged engines to compete with the EcoBoosts?
Ooh. GM's been really big into V8s. They have 2 V8 options right now, the 5.3 and the 6.2. Will they do more turbocharging? I'm not sure, but they might be forced to if the fuel economy game, if they cannot really compete in the years to come, because Ford has announced a turbocharged diesel in the F-150 for like it should come out about a year from now. And if GM cannot satisfy the numbers with their V8s, they might consider a turbo.
The other thing too that people are commenting about is there could be the possibility of a hybrid GM truck, because there was a hybrid GM truck
And
in the
there
past.
currently is in California. Actually, in California, you can buy a mild hybrid GMC Sierra or Chevy Silverado, but it's a very small battery, and just as a helper, you cannot really run those trucks in full electric mode. So it's a mild hybrid system where the electric motor helps a little bit, for the gasoline engine to operate. But GM has a lot of expertise in this area. They're coming out with several electric vehicles. Bolt is one passenger car that they have. They have a lot of hybrid technology available to them. So a hybrid is very possible.
Right. Well, just one correction. Andre said that the Dodge Raider or the what did you say?
Mitsubishi Raider?
Well, there was were you thinking of the Dodge Raider and the Mitsubishi Montero instead of the Dakota?
No. There was a pickup truck sold by Mitsubishi, which was related and based on the Dodge Dakota. Can you look up a Mitsubishi pickup truck?
I'm on it right now.
That's the one I was thinking
Oh,
of.
you're thinking of the Mitsubishi Raider.
Yeah, what did I say?
Yeah. Okay, here, I'll let me pull up this picture really quick so you guys know what we're talking about.
Are we asleep again?
It's been a long morning.
A long morning. No, I was thinking about the Mitsubishi Raider pickup truck, and I'm sorry if I misspoke, but
Yeah, it was this truck.
There was platform sharing.
Um,
This guy.
right. Yeah.
And actually,
essentially Dakota.
it looked pretty good. I really like the way that the Mitsubishi pickups looked.
Yeah, they were cool trucks.
They had a unique look to them, kind of beefy tires, beefy wheel well arches, and they look pretty nice.
And speaking of weird and wacky trucks, what do we got going on Wednesday, Andre?
On Wednesday, we have another show planned at 10 o'clock, once again, Mountain Time, where we're going to be talking about kind of weird and wacky pickup trucks from all kinds of timelines, from the past, from the 60s, from the 70s, 80s, and some of the current trucks. So kind of oddball pickup trucks, and that's coming up on Wednesday.
Yep. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been another live TFL Today show. Hope the audio worked out well. We're still working hard to sort that out. Hope you noticed we were looking at the camera this time instead of the microphone. Andre labeled the phone with a big blue arrow,
Yes.
which is quite comical from where I'm sitting. But thank you guys for watching. We hope to see you Wednesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Central Time.
Yep. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for joining, and see you soon.